What's up, everybody? Merry Christmas. We're here with some more NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for the three gamer on Christmas, December 25th. FanDuel DraftKings lineup strategy. Welcome, I'm Brian Jester, co founder here at Occupy Fantasy, joined by Jack, owner and creator of DFS Magic and the lineup builder at Occupy Fantasy, noted short slate crusher. Jack, happy holidays, man. What's up?
Happy holidays, Brian. Happy holidays to everyone looking to play this three gamer tomorrow. And although I have a lot of good history winning these, you actually have a really sweet win to talk about from last week on a short slate, right?
Yeah, basically followed the exact blueprint that we talked about in this video that we did this time last week. 4x1 Minnesota stack, one trashy player in KJ Osborne. And as Moose and I talked about, Jack, in the $1 Million Mission on Tuesday, that when you have a player like Osborne at sub 10% that is basically optimal, it does allow you to, it gives you some margin for error where you don't have to be perfect with the rest of your lineup. Because as you'll see here, Amari Cooper just 7.8 points. And the Cleveland defense is not the Indianapolis defense that scored 20 plus points. So when you have the one player that's 5% and scores a lot, the rest of your lineup doesn't necessarily have to be the optimal.
Absolutely, and I think especially I was just thinking about this. It's a low owned stack piece that really does it. The one that I won the 58K last year or 2 years ago, whenever that was. But that had it was a Josh Allen chalky quad stack, but one of the stack players was like 5% owned, and I also didn't have a perfect lineup. So yeah, absolutely. Just like we draw it up, 4x1. One lone player ate some chalk. I mean, just well done. And again, for for users out here, we talk about these strategies every week, and here's a very recent example of putting them to work. So why don't we try to do it again?
Let's try to draw up another blueprint for the Christmas slate. So what we'll do here in this video, if you're new, we'll talk about the injuries that impact the slate, just give you another quick high-level overview of three-game strategy and then specific plays and lineup construction tips for this specific December 25th slate. So Jack, I will bring up DraftKings here, and starting from the top, really probably the most impactful injury is the Arizona quarterback situation where Kyler Murray is out for the year. Obviously, Colt McCoy dealing with concussion. He is out. So we'll get Trace McSorley starting, who is just $4,800 on DraftKings. And as you and I were talking this morning offline, Jack, McSorley can run a little bit. So that opens some things up and some potential for him to get into the winning lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And because we don't have a guy like Josh Allen on this slate that can just wreck the quarterback position, I think he's 4,800 on DraftKings. Definitely, I would say not super likely that he wins, but it's more likely than I would say a typical slate where you have one of those super stud rushing quarterbacks that can just break it. So yeah, that's definitely in play, and we'll get into how you might play him if you do.
For sure. All right, moving on. For the running back position, Latavius Murray officially questionable. He's expected to play precautionary. Did not practice on Thursday or Friday, whatever day the Thursday is for a Sunday game. And Jeff Wilson officially questionable. Did not play last week on the three gamer. Is tentatively expected to play. They said a decision will be made on Saturday. We're recording this Saturday afternoon. We don't have official word yet, so just monitor that. But Jack, we could see another situation where if he's out, then we have Raheem Mostert in a smash role in that backfield.
Yep, and just like last time, have to be monitoring that. Fortunately, that is the first game, and I'm just looking at price. Mostert is more expensive, so yeah, I mean, you just got to kind of figure out how you want to do it. The safest way is probably build with Mostert, swap some in. But again, because it's the first game, you can just sort of rerun, or you could even use two slate groups like we have in the lineup builder and do one with each.
Yep, exactly right. So, all right, let's go to the wide receiver position. Marquise Brown questionable. He's expected to play. Cortland Sutton questionable. Expected to make his return after missing a couple of games with that ankle injury. Ben Skoranek, which may not seem like an injury that is important, but on a slate where we're hurting for value, Jack, Skoranek being out opens up some more of those trashy LA guys. And I think in particular, at least what the field is gravitating towards, is Tutu Atwell for the Rams at just 3,600.
Yeah, and my immediate reaction anytime we see that is when you don't know where the volume is going to go and the field goes all in on one guy, you immediately start looking at the other guys that are playing the high snap roles for that team.
Yeah, so we're considering Brandon Powell in this situation, maybe even Lance McCutcheon, Austin Trammell, these other guys. These are guys we should be mixing in our 150 sets and our large field sets, and just be mindful of how you are building. If you include Tutu Atwell, or if you don't include Tutu Atwell, because he's going to be pretty popular. Julio Jones questionable, expected to return. Kendall Hinton out for Denver. And I think that is it for the wide receiver position. Yep, we got it all. Tight end, nothing to monitor. So, Jack, that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward, I think, from an injury standpoint, right?
Yeah, we can't really complain here. We don't have like some big game time decision on a late game on Christmas Eve, so I think this is a pretty good one.
Yeah, last thing you need is Christmas dinner's about to be set, but you got a late swap waiting for injuries. Got to take that well-timed bathroom break to make the swap. So, fortunately, we don't have that working
We've all
against us.
done it though. We've all done it.
Dude, every single one of us have. If you're watching this video on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning, you've done it. You're a degenerate. You're with us. You're doing it. So we appreciate you tuning in, as we always do, but especially during the holidays for those that celebrate. So, all right, Jack. So typical three-gamer. I think we've talked about it enough on this channel. If you guys don't know, really want to stack one game as much as you can. You can stack 4 guys from one team on FanDuel up to 6 or 7 on DraftKings. So I really want to try to do it. And Jack, I guess we'll just go right into this particular slate because Green Bay and Miami, I'm going to pull up the odds here if I can find it on my screen. Okay. And you see the Green Bay Miami game at 1 p.m., 49.5 point total at DraftKings Sportsbook. Denver and LA is 36.5. Tampa Bay and Arizona is 40.5. So we have one game that's literally 10 points higher than the next closest, 14 points higher than the other game on the slate. And it's clear that that's the game we want to stack. So the question is, how much do we stack it? How much do we think the field stacks it?
Not enough, right? The answer is always not enough. They're going to do it, but they're going to play a lot of 2x1, 3x1, 2x2 kind of stuff. And we should be getting over that. And yeah, I mean, the totals and the trend, right? Like Denver, LA is down, at least on Fantasy Labs, that's down 5.5 points from open. Tampa Bay, Arizona's down 1.5. So those games are bad and trending down, whereas the Packers game is good and trending up. So, do you go all in on this game? Like, would you still play the other guys? Like, do you think? I guess let's talk about it this way. If you're building, maybe a 3 max or 20 max, and then maybe the 150, I think those are probably the 3 categories that people might be in.
I honestly think in single entry, 3 max, 20 max, I would just go all in on the first game. 150 max, I'm not as aggressive as you are when it comes to going all in on players on these shorter slates. So I'll mix in some of these other games. But I think anything less than 20 or less, I would fully stack it. And what sticks out to me the most, Jack, is this. I have the lineup builder pulled up here. I've sorted by projected ownership on DraftKings for the flex plays. Tyreek Hill obviously is number 1 at 62%. And then you look for Green Bay and you look for Miami guys. Aaron Jones is 37%, Jalen Waddle 32%, Mostert 28%. But the other top 15 or 20 guys are from these other 2 games, which goes to show that the field is not going to be 4x2 stacking, 4x3 stacking, 4x1 stacking, whatever you want to call it. I imagine a lot of it has to do with price. But if we can figure that out, and this game scores 20 more points than every other game, Jack, then it's a no-brainer that you have to.
Yeah, absolutely. You're hitting on the head, and if you guys can't tell, this is a good one. I think in the past few slates we've said like, we found edges and had recommendations, but Josh Allen ruins things, or there's just bad games. But like, this is a really good one, and I think before we at least get into the details of this game or move on, the fact that this is the first game, I think lends you even more reason to go for it because one of the biggest advantages we've talked about time and again, Brian, is late swapping, right? The field doesn't do it correctly. They don't even do it most of the time. By playing your stacks in the first game, you can review all your lineups, and it's a lot easier to make those kind of 1v1, 2v2, 3v3 decisions versus if you stack a late game and you have 7 players left. It's really hard to decide, what the optimal thing is. So I will be playing this game very heavily. I think I will allow that you could talk me into another quarterback here because you usually do. But yeah, don't be shy about this game. And you bring up a great point with the Packers ownership. It's not there. I'm with you. I'm just scrolling too. There's like 2 Packers in the top 15 owned. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, for a game of 49.5 point total. So for Miami side, I think you can definitely on DraftKings. I think you can even 5-man stack it. Right, you play Tua. You play Mostert if he's the only running back there, even if he's the lead back. Tyreek and Waddle. Sherfield is going to be pretty low owned. He's running a ton of routes. There was explicit talk this week from the coaching staff about getting Mike Gesicki more involved. And on a slate where tight ends are not great is probably the nicest way to put it. Gesicki, 5% projected ownership from us. Dulcich, Higbee, Otten, Tanyan. I mean, these are not world beaters by any means. And Gesicki is the 5th most popular option according to that group. You can throw him in. That way you can play whoever you want and you throw in Gesicki. That's that KJ Osborne type of piece we're talking about, Jack.
Yeah, and it just, I mean, tight end ownership is usually gross, but
Yeah.
this is especially bad, right? I mean, Dolchitz and Higbee. And remind you, Higbee's got who's throwing to him? I mean, I don't even know who's
Is it
start. Oh, it's
Baker?
Baker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those two are going to eat up 75% of tight end ownership. I mean, yeah, that's gross. If nothing else, I don't know if you do this on main sites, but kind of a tiebreaker. Just chase the points with tight end. Just try to catch. Just try to grab someone that scores a touchdown. Tanyan and Gesicki are low owned, playing in a 50-point total game. One of them could very easily just fall into the end zone and be optimal.
Yeah, it's not like Dulcich and Higbee and Otten have been crushing it anyways. And Otten's not
Yeah.
even the starter. He's basically splitting time with Cameron Braid anyways. So what about the Green Bay side? How much can we stack that side?
I think four stacking for sure. I'm thinking if you would do, I think you could five stack these guys just because they're so cheap.
Yeah,
I
that's the
mean,
thing.
a running back, Tanyan, two receivers, right? That yeah, I think you five stack these. What do you think? I think it's no problem.
Agree. And I think five, when you do that, you want to include a running back and tight end. I can't remember off the top of my head, Jack, but we don't see many five stacks with three receivers from the same team.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, you could do it, but I don't remember seeing it. I think with Green Bay, you want to make a rule where you absolutely get a running back in there, and I would agree. Play Tanyan. Here's a question: do you play Jones and Dillon in the same lineup? I think we sometimes see these situations where you have two stud running backs that both get the ball. How would you approach that?
I definitely think you can do it. We've seen it before, and you just make rules, right? You really, if you play both running backs, you don't want to play the opposing defense because on a three-game slate, you allow defense versus opposing players. I wouldn't play Jones plus Dillon against Miami's defense. It wouldn't make much sense. But I think you can do it, right? Even like Rashad White and Fournette because they can get there on catches. This is a slate where you can definitely play two running backs from the same team.
And do you think you could for at least for me a 150 max play? Would you play both running backs with Aaron Jones or sorry with Aaron Rodgers, or is that too crazy?
That's a great question. I think you could probably consider it just because Aaron Jones catches so many passes. I
I'm
think
looking at their last few game logs, receptions or targets. 5-3, 5-3, 4-4.
Oh
So
yeah, that's doable for sure.
yes, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Cool.
And the field is not going to do that. No way.
Absolutely not. The field is not going to play that. So that's certainly one way to get different. Even though you really don't have to get that different with Green Bay stacks, that's certainly a way, and I would definitely allow it within my my lineup builder runs. All right, any other games, Jack? So we have right in the heart of Christmas, middle of the day, we got Rams and Broncos, and then to cap it off, we have Arizona and Tampa Bay. Denver, LA. I wouldn't fault anyone for not playing a quarterback from that game. Late game, we talked about McSorley's rushing upside. Brady has underwhelmed to the max this year. But on a three gamer, Jack, I could still see Brady getting there. He's got the pass catchers. You can four stack them. I think I'll include it, but we do have him as the second most popular option on the slate.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the Tampa Bay ownership. Kind of one problem with them is how your winning lineup had that 5% owned stack player. I don't know that I see it here. I mean, I guess it's Otten or Brait, maybe Russell Gage, but if Julio's playing and Godwin's he plays the slot, right? So he's probably not getting a lot of run if Godwin's in.
Right. So
Um,
it's
it's a tough
tough, man.
one. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
You have the four to five main guys here. None of them are under 10%, which is so you have to get really different here if you're going to play Tampa Bay. For a team that's not even like they're not even the best stack by a wide margin. If this was the best stack in our eyes by most metrics, we would figure out a way to play it. But when everyone's popular and it's not even the best stack, that should cause you to hesitate a bit.
It just looks a little overowned for the upside, and the prices are not great. With that in mind, we've mentioned that Green Bay was super cheap. What are your thoughts on salary for the? I guess my instinct without building yet is that leaving salary is more doable on this one than we've seen in the past few.
I think so. I think it's definitely more doable before with Josh Allen and those guys, where we had to worry about, oh, let's not leave enough salary to where we could upgrade to Allen or Diggs or whoever. Maybe Tyreek's the only guy on the slate that's scary enough that you would fade and leave salary that could fit him. But everyone else, like anyone can be the high scorer on this slate. So I think this is unlike the last couple of videos we've done. I agree that you can leave more salary here.
Yeah, and a lot of these, quote unquote studs like chalkies players in the slate have super low floors, right? I mean, like you said, Brady is dust. I mean, these Evans or Godwin could easily turn in a 5 point game. Um, Arizona receivers are catching from McSorley, so like, yeah, I'm with you. What about the running back situation for Tampa Bay? Would you just eat both of them? Would you try to take a stand? Would you just fade it? What do you think?
I don't have a strong stance either way. I'll probably just be relatively in line with the field, 25% each. They can catch passes, and I think that's the key because they can catch passes. Both are in play. I really don't have a strong stance.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
All right, if you play McSorley, I'm gonna pull up Arizona here in the builder really quickly. Um, what's the minimum number of players you need to play with him? Can you play him naked? Would you play him with at least Hopkins or Marquise? Or I mean, because it gets gross after that. Then they got Trey McBride, AJ Green, Robbie Anderson. Uh, I don't know, man. I think you can get weird with McSorley lineups, but I have a feeling that if people do play him, it's going to be in that manner. So it's not going to be that different. While he's only what? While he's only 6% owned, basically all of that 6% of lineups are going to look pretty similarly. I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a situation where you could get you. It's tough to get unique with these guys, right? Because the optimum way to play him is the way that the field's going to play him. I think you get away with stacking James Conner with him catching passes, but even still, the field's going to do that. It's tough. I mean, you could look at game stacking Green Bay, Miami, and just basically running those with as secondary stacks with McSorley naked. It's tough. It's never something I've spent a ton of time looking at. I don't know if you have a specific plan for it, but um,
Unfortunately, I don't.
yeah.
But my gut says that. My gut says play at least one pass catcher with him. And it's not like he has scrubs, right? You could play D Hop or Marquise Brown and feel okay about that. So I think play one, run it back with at least one, maybe two Tampa Bay players. But the key takeaway is that Arizona stacks will look dramatically different than Green Bay, Miami stacks. So you should be making rules in your lineup builder, whether it's ours or whatever one you use to set that up.
All right, we gotta hit at least 5 minutes on that middle awful game. So Russell Wilson, would you even entertain stacking this? Let's just pull up their ownership real quick.
I would entertain
Eh,
stacking the Denver side. Denver's
yeah.
defense is legit good, and Baker Mayfield's not good. I'm under the impression that him learning more plays was detrimental to him just going out and slinging it in that first game, right? So, I mean, you have Dulcich, Latavius Murray catches passes out of the backfield. Sutton and Judy are, they can each get 100 yards. I don't mind it. I really don't. I think you play Russ. If you play Russ, he's not the Russ of old. He's not going to run a ton. So playing with at least two pass catchers, I think a 3-by-1 stack is perfectly fine here. Maybe 3-by-2, given some of the value on the Ram side. But you'd have to use pretty much all your salary, I think, because it's not going to be the highest scoring game on the slate.
Yeah, and another note for people that maybe don't pay close attention to the Rams anymore because, why would you? But this is not, like your dad's Rams defense with Aaron Donald, right? These
Right.
guys are not very good. They get I think they're like bottom 3 in the league in pressure rate or something like that. And I watched the Packer game because I'm a Packer fan, and they just didn't really look that interested in tackling.
No.
So yeah, I think Denver's probably worth a shot. You probably talked me into this one a little bit.
Nice.
Um, and other than dual chits, you got Sutton and Judy can put up big games, and they're pretty low owned. So
Judy 9%
sure,
is what stood out to me. I think a lot of
yeah.
people are going to be off him once Sutton returns, but yeah, I'll take some Judy at that. So, all right, Jack, I'm going to pull up the flex positions here. Under 10% or under 20% owned. Favorite play. We called out Waddle last week, and he put up the long touchdown. So let me get Denver cleared out here. So under 20%, who you got? Who sticks out to you as a play you want to get overweight on?
I'll let you take Judy because that's probably who you're going to take. But I'm going to go AJ Dillon. I mean, he. I think we've seen this in the past where when it gets well, I guess it's not going to be colder because it's Miami. But later in the season, he's generally gotten the ball more. He's hot. He did get nicked up, but he looks fine. I just think if you look at the ownership between Jones and Dillon, 37 versus 15 is Aaron Jones, almost 3 times as likely to outscore Dillon? I don't think so. So I probably will be overweight on Dillon on the slate.
I think that's fair, and I think Judy's the easy one here, but I'll go with the Miami secondary pass catchers and Trent Sherfield, who runs a ton of routes, and Mike Gesicki. Both these guys are less than 8% owned. Easy way to mix into your Miami stacks, your Green Bay stacks. I think I would much prefer them with Tua as opposed to stacking him with Aaron Rodgers. But those are easy guys for me, especially at their price tags, Jack. It's not like we're playing Waddle at 7K at 15% owned. We're playing Sherfield and Gesicki at less than 3,500.
Yeah, and notice the folks that the players we picked out are both from that same game that we love. So
there you go.
When it's 19-17 and had 5 field goals, you can all send us some hate mail. But hopefully that's not the case. Yeah, this should be a good one. I'm excited.
No hate mail allowed on Christmas. And here's the nice thing, right? If this first game just busts, just go about with the rest of your Christmas. You don't have to degen the rest of the slate, right? I mean, maybe you tilt into some Showdown, right, after everyone leaves. But you don't have to worry about blade swapping with this game. But again, it's just the final thought here, Jack. We haven't had a slate like this in a while, where it's a very clear game that is under-owned by the field, and it's kind of surprising. It's a really good one.
Yep, absolutely. And then the last thing I think we usually do, there's not as many of them this slate, but like super chalky player you're most okay with being under on. And we'll say maybe over 30% or over, we can consider chalk probably.
It is not Tyreek Hill. That's not the person I'm fading.
Don't die on that hill.
No, I will be playing him for sure. I guess Aaron Jones is one that for the reasons you just talked about with the A.J. Dillon ownership discrepancy, but it's got to be Higbee at 35% on an offense that's terrible. Higbee caught the touchdown last week, but his targets and routes have been inconsistent. Higbee is the easy one for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. And, same token, Atwell, again, we talked about this, like, I know he has an underperforming receiver on his name, but sometimes that just means the quarterback sucks.
Yes.
30% for basically it's saying we don't know who's going to get the targets, but the field's going all in on Atwell. I mean, he could easily put up a 0. So that I think the tight ends we covered, but if I had to pick someone that's not a tight end, he'd be the other one that I'd throw out there.
Fair enough. So I think that covers it. We appreciate you listening during the holidays as always. If you made it this far and you like what you've seen, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Get notified when we go live, upload these videos. Different scheduling for the next month or so with Saturday and playoff slates. Being subscribed to the channel is the best way to get notified when we upload any of these short slate videos. We also do Showdown videos, main slate videos, other sport videos. So just subscribe if you haven't already. Less than 50% of the viewers aren't subscribed. So just rectify that. Subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We appreciate it. Helps others find the video. Any questions? I would say I wouldn't be monitoring the channel because it's the holidays, but come on, let's be serious. I will be monitoring the channel. So if you have questions, throw it under the video below, or just join our Discord server, occupyfantasy.com/Discord. Chat with us, other members of the community, sweat the games with us. OccupyFantasy.com is where you can get access to the model, the projected ownership you see here on screen, as well as the lineup builder you see on screen here to build up to 300 lineups using our optimal lineup criteria. And Jack, I'll just toot your horn a little bit here, especially for short slates. The lineup builder is essential because of the customization you can do with different stacks.
Yep, absolutely. You can do the min-max team and opposing players and percentages of those, and it's really fully customizable. If you guys have questions about that, you can drop it in the NFL or the Lineup Builder Discord, and I'll be on tomorrow night as well because my girlfriend's working and I'm on crutches for one more day, so I got nothing better to do.
Crutches? What happened?
Oh, I just had a little procedure done, like a PRP injection. No big deal, but
no big deal.
Used to sit around and degen DFS all day on Christmas.
That's the best reason too. So for Jack at DFS_magic_, I'm at Brian Jester FF. We're at Occupy Fantasy and DFS Magic. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays and good luck on the Christmas 3 gamer.